What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Filling in the Gaps. I am Flo Joe, and today we're just gonna be hanging out, you guys. I've got a lot of catching up to do. Mac Dizzle, there you are. I feel like I haven't seen you in forever, huh? The Boss Bish is in the house. Last Ronin, how's it going? Cindy from sunny South Florida is in the building. Anna Banana, poetically speaking, and the heart of the personal story. Welcome. How you guys doing, y'all? Oh, you have? Is that so? Yeah, you might see me there. How's it going? How you doing? How's everybody doing tonight, you guys? What is it, Tuesday? I'm so lost. Lost track of time. I'm so tired. Kind of getting over a cold from yesterday. And so I haven't really kept up with the news, so we're going to be doing a little bit of that. We're going to be talking about it. And then we're just going to have a conversation in the chat, you guys. Y'all are probably going to catch me up on the news too, because I tried to do as much research as I could in this little amount of time. But how you guys doing? You guys like this little you guys like this logo right here? How y'all feeling it? We just made a little logo for filling in the gaps. What's going on, you guys? It's hard to keep track of, isn't it, Anna? It's so hard to keep track of this case. I mean, I feel like every hour there's a new update, and then there's more confusion, and a new story, a new ransom note, a new person's inserting themselves into this story. There's a suspect here, then they're not a suspect, and then you want to point fingers at the family and then take it back because they're victims. I don't know. It's crazy. It's just, I don't know. It's all confusing. And I feel like if you miss one day, you're just totally off, right? So big shout out to Jad, mods in the house. I think we connected Nightbot too, so we're gonna see if Nightbot is working, and if not, please forgive us. I'm hoping that it is working though. Hold on. Let's see. Are we? Hold on. Let me try something. Thank you, Poetically. Oh, there you go. Nightbot is working. Cool. Nightbot is working. So if you guys are just tuning in, do me a favor, hit that like button. We only got a few people in the house tonight watching, so I do appreciate you guys. But let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna kind of, take a step back. You see the Nightbot debosh, the boss bish? Perfect. Awesome. So we're gonna kind of take a few steps back, and we're gonna go back to yesterday, Monday, February 16th, because one of the first things that came out was a report from TMZ and a concerned citizen who decided, a local citizen of Tucson just decided that they wanted to help out and bring Nancy home, and they took matters into their own hands and they started a GoFundMe, right? So there was a person, a local concerned citizen by the name of Sean Breeden, launched a GoFundMe titled Help Find Nancy Guthrie. They wanted to raise enough money so then that way they could pay that 1 Bitcoin to meet all of the ransom demands. And you guys, I don't know, how you guys feeling about that? You guys feeling that this was the right move? So here's an article from TMZ, right? TMZ put Nancy Guthrie case. Tucson man starts GoFundMe for Bitcoin to buy info. The search for Nancy Guthrie is hitting new extremes. Members of the public are now crowdsourcing crypto, with one concerned citizen launching a GoFundMe to help bring her home. The page, started by Tucson, Arizona native Sean Breeden and titled Help Find Nancy Guthrie, says the plan is to funnel donations straight to the Guthrie family so they can buy Bitcoin, hoping it'll all help pay for the info about Nancy's whereabouts. Now, according to this screenshot right over here, the goal was to reach $65,000, right? And as of that screenshot, they've raised about 115, right? Article continues and says, as we reported, TMZ received an email Wednesday demanding 1 Bitcoin in exchange for the alleged kidnapper's identity. That's no small ask, right? A single Bitcoin is currently worth about 65, and that price fluctuates every day, right? That price could go up 10,000. It can go down. Yeah, what's up, Laura Butler? Shout out to you. Your birthday's tomorrow. Well, happy early birthday. Shout out to you, Laura. It continues to say, right? So Bitcoin is roughly around 65. And let me see what the price is right now. Bitcoin price today. So right now it's about 67,000. So 67,781 is the current price. So they're trying to raise at least $65,000 so then that way they can pay this Bitcoin. And it says, back to the GoFundMe. Breeden says any leftover funds, if there is any, could be handed over to the FBI or local police to help cover the massive cost of the ongoing investigation. So far, though, the donations are at a crawl. The 65,000 goal has only pulled in 115 from 4 donors as of Monday morning. As you know, 84-year-old Nancy, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, was snatched from her Tucson home February 1st in a brazen kidnapping. Investigators recently recovered DNA from the glove believed to belong to the suspect. And we'll talk about that later, right? And they are running through the FBI's CODIS database, hoping for a hit that could crack the case. So how many of you guys are planning to donate, right? So I went and I looked at this GoFundMe, and so far they've raised a total of $1,798. So it's a big jump from yesterday's 115. But I'm curious, how many of you guys are donating? Oh yeah, Bitcoin definitely took a drop, right? I mean, I want to say maybe about a month ago it was over 100,000, right? Or maybe even higher. But yeah, that's look, y'all. I don't know if it's the best idea for anybody to crowdsource any kind of funding to help pay these criminals to dump information, right? I know earlier today there was another update, and we'll get right into that, right? Let me find it though. Where did it go? Because TMZ came out with another huge update, and you guys were going to be watching a few videos, so hang in there. as we just kind of hang out and watch these videos so I can catch up on all of this news. Mark the Shark, what's going on? How's it going? Welcome.
Now,
let me just make sure we turn this up. So this is the huge development in Nancy Guthrie case, 24 hours until DNA bombshell. So this is Harvey Levin's video earlier this morning. I want to say about 11 hours ago, so about 8 o'clock in the morning.
that doesn't answer the questions about whose DNA is it and are they connected to this kidnapping? Because under federal law, the glove has to be tested in the state where the glove is found. That is the requirement that the FBI has before they can put it in the CODIS system.
And of course, so for all of you guys I'm sure you guys are already aware that there has been some back and forth about, you know, this glove and it going to Quantico or it going to the private lab in Florida. And so there's just been a lot of back and forth about it, but let's just go ahead and continue.
CODIS is combined DNA intake system. That has 27 million DNA profiles. And in order to check out the DNA in that system, in the CODIS system, the glove has to be tested in the state where it was found, and that is Arizona. That glove, we're told, is in Arizona right now. This is called a PCR test. It's the most sophisticated DNA test. It's the gold standard. Usually takes just a day to get.
Is the audio really low for him? For some reason, it's the audio from his actual video. So
the results. We are told that in the next 24 hours, once that glove is tested and the results are in, that profile will go into the CODIS system. So that should be resolved within 24 hours and maybe sooner. Now, we are also told, and I think this is really interesting, that the glove that was tested is not the glove that the New York Post found. It is a different glove. So up to this point, everybody, and really us included, we assumed that was the glove. We are now told by people connected to this, it is not the glove. It is a different glove that authorities found 2 miles from Nancy's house. Now, something else that
Redondo Beach, welcome.
There are stories out there that gun shops have been given around 40 names of people that the FBI wanted to check to see
Ramona,
if people
welcome.
bought a certain type of gun, namely the gun that was in the holster of the presumed kidnapper. We told you this is a semi-automatic handgun. So
have they identified what type of handgun it is? I don't know if they have, but it is a semi-automatic, and it obviously it's a pistol. I don't know what type of pistol it is though. I'm thinking a Smith & Wesson, but I'm no gun expert. So anybody else out there have a clue?
What we found out is that they have already checked out the holster to see who has bought a similar holster in that area. And the names that were given to the gun shops are people who actually bought that type of holster. And it's not like those people are all people of interest, but what they want to find is, you know, did somebody both buy a holster like that and buy a gun like that? And then all of a sudden, they're going to be real interested in that person. So that is why the FBI is checking out gun shops in that area. Final thing I want to say is that the man who has been sending us emails demanding to know, demanding money in return for information leading to the identity of the kidnapper and the location of Nancy Guthrie. We have received now numerous letters from this person. We are not going to talk about this person anymore.
Ooh, Harvey's putting on his big boy pants, huh? Harvey is just he's stepping on toes now, huh?
Because
hey Shannon, how's it going?
I tell you that he sent us another letter but didn't give us the information, and I keep telling you he sent us another letter and another letter, then suddenly when I stop, everybody's going to figure out, oh, he must have finally given the information, and that could screw up the investigation because that information is going to go immediately to the FBI, and then they're going to do their thing. So by definition, if we keep saying, we got another one, we got another one, we got another one, and all of a sudden we say we're not going to talk, you're going to figure out that means he just gave it up, and it could then tip off the kidnapper. So we're not going to say anything more unless and until we get that information and pass it on to the FBI.
Unless we get the clearance from the FBI to say what we want, right? This whole thing just sounds scripted too. I feel like the FBI is telling him what he can and can't say. Redondo said, "Oh, Harvey, I think you've already wasted enough time, right?" Yeah, talk about you know, those names that are in those files, right? What about those? What about those files, Harvey?
And at some point, then we will let you know. And also,
Brandon, what's up?
That creates a public record for the person who would give us this information, that it could lead to the kidnapper and therefore entitle them to the reward. So radio silence on that front, but there is movement. And, you know, I will say one other thing, that I spoke to a law enforcement source today
Right,
who
Mark?
said that this is gumshoe detective work right now, that they are just chasing down every possible lead they can to try and find the kidnapper and Nancy Guthrie. But right now, they don't have a straight line to a suspect or even person of interest. But when this DNA profile is done, maybe they will. And when this gun is possibly located where somebody purchased it and matches
Sheriff
the holster,
Harvey
that could
and
be a
parts.
hot lead. But for now, it is gumshoe detective work.
Oh, Sheriff Harvey. What else happened yesterday? There was just so much that went down yesterday. You know, I even heard that Donald Trump had a lot to say and had some few words for these kidnappers and the condition of Nancy if she is returned dead, right? So we'll go ahead and check out this Fox News article or this video that was put out yesterday. And Trump is threatening the death penalty in the Nancy Guthrie case, right? So he's basically telling them that if Nancy is dead, that you guys can expect to have the death penalty.
Moments ago, President Trump weighing in on the Nancy Guthrie case, telling the New York Post he will instruct the Department of Justice to seek the death penalty on the potential captors if the 84-year-old grandmother is not returned safe and sound to her family. President Trump went on to tell the Post they will face, quote, the most severe federal consequences if Nancy is found dead. Which we are a long way from that point, Paul. So just sort of picking up where we left off, a lot of digital threads to pull. And do you think that ultimately it will be digital evidence that will help break the case, or do you believe it will be genetic evidence that will do so?
Ooh,
or both?
tough call. I mean, you know, one digital vector in this thing that we hadn't explored was if the purchase history that Walmart has, and the various Walmart stores have different metrics for how long they retain the video. So let's say it's outside the range of where they retain the video. Their video is going to be very much like the video that she had at her house.
And you're right, Redondo, right? This is not the decision of the president. This is all up to the state, right? And if they want to.
So it's code. So my point is, you may have to do something similar with the, let's say they identify the purchase, but it's 3 months ago, but they only have 2 months worth of video recorded. You might have to do something like they did with Google, which is go in, see if you can retrieve enough of that code to build an image so we can get a look at this person. So that would be very key. And then the other thing, of course, is that with Donald Trump talking, you have to wonder if the case is about to go completely federal. I'm wondering what the jurisdiction would be.
Yeah. Donna, you broke the news that Harvey Levin claims he has a fourth email with someone who claims that he saw Nancy Guthrie south of the border. So a lot of information to sift through.
But he's still asking, like, I want to make sure that this is, you're really involved and you're not making this up.
Right.
Look, Savannah Guthrie went on TV or on
You
her
said it,
Instagram
Redondo.
yesterday,
Donald Trump
and she
is not the
holding
district
out
attorney
hope.
of Pima
She said,
County.
it's not too late to basically give me back my mother and whatever the situation. I don't know how it ends from there. I think it's kind of interesting. They're flying planes in that area, looking for some kind of signals from pacemakers. Now, I think we've had doctors on who've basically said the pacemaker can work without the base. So she could be okay, right, Paul?
Yeah, it does work without it, yeah.
Okay, so, but I guess they can get a ping from a pacemaker?
It's hard, and it's very, very low energy.
And they're talking about the signal sniffer, right? That you guys seen in all these videos of the helicopters that are flying low, that have this device where they're trying to track, the presence of her pacemaker, because they do believe that she is local, right? And they have a good feeling that Nancy is still in Tucson.
You got to know what you're looking for. Each pacemaker has an individual footprint. That's what they're looking for, the fingerprint of the pacemaker, but it's a very low energy thing, and that's why they're playing in all of this.
Why didn't they do that sooner?
Right.
Katie, let's get your thoughts.
Yeah, I would just say there's frustration on a lot of people's parts, mine included. You know, Tyler Robinson was found the next day, Brown University, 5 days, Luigi Mangione, 5 days. And then you even go to Koberger, and Koberger was 47 days. But Richard Kolko of the FBI told me this weekend that the Koberger case, they actually knew who he was very, very quickly, and the sheriff was tight-lipped in that case, as he should have been. So frustration, and when you talk about Savannah's video, I think of all the ebbs and flows of this and how it affects the American public and how that must affect her having hope and then having disappointment.
Final thoughts, Donna?
Yeah, I'm just surprised we didn't do some of this sooner. I think that's really interesting. We were watching these helicopters fly over low, like you said, Paul. They're looking for something
how's it going?
specific because more than one person there is going to have a pacemaker. So I really hope that some of these things that they've decided to do later, it's not too late. So let's hope that.
I'd be looking by storage locations. I think if the person lives in the area,
Yes.
you'd have to take that shot and see if they.
This video just trips me out every time I see this guy. This guy is the smartest person in the world, right? Just pulling these shrubs from the garden and just trying to ball them up to hide himself.
They wouldn't want to bring her home.
I was saying this guy is building a nest on a nest, right?
They got a location. Remember the Brown University shoot?
Right.
Yes.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily.
All right. So what are you guys' thoughts on this? Donald Trump is all stepping in like he always does, right? Saying that he's going to push for the death penalty. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of a lot of people who disagree. I mean, how many people are for the death penalty if Nancy is found not alive? I'm curious what you guys think in the comments or in the chat. What do you guys think? Do you think that the kidnappers deserve the death penalty if Nancy is returned unalived? If it's federal, he can. I can't understand how they cleared the family. And we're going to get into that, right? Because yesterday, Pima County Sheriff's Department put out a tweet, right? They talked about, well, Sheriff Nanos put out a tweet, a statement from the Pima County PIO. Basically, in a statement, he said, to be clear, the Guthrie family, to include all siblings and spouses, has been cleared as possible suspects in this case. The family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious and are victims, you guys, and are victims in this case. To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it is cruel. The Guthrie family are victims, plain and simple. Please, I'm begging you as the media to honor your profession and report with some sense of compassion and professionalism. This one, I don't know. This post really bothered me for some reason. I don't know. To me, this just feels like a post that he put out with his emotion, just kind of responding with his emotion and, blaming the media. I don't know. And forgive me if I'm wrong, right? But who particularly is he blaming? Is he pointing the finger at Ashley Banfield for blatantly calling the son-in-law a suspect or the prime suspect? Is he hating on the YouTubers, the new type of media who are just who are just live streaming this 24/7? I'm curious who he's actually talking to, right? Because if it wasn't for the people of the internet, we really wouldn't have a download per se, right? In Harvey's words, on what's going on, right? People like JLR, people who are boots on the ground, Mark the Shark's out there too, right? Just getting coverage of this whole case. I'm begging you, the media, to honor your profession and report with some sense of compassion and professionalism. And I feel like maybe I don't know, I'm going to insert myself in this, and maybe we would, right? If maybe we would just get a little bit more from them. And I get it, they don't owe us a damn thing. But I feel like if they were just to kind of keep us in the loop, right, then we wouldn't have to just make shit up and talk out of our ass. Let's see. What else happened yesterday? There were talks about the glove, right? They're able to get DNA. They sent it to a lab. Let me see. Oh, and they talked about the 40 photos and images of the people with who purchased guns. So here, let's go take a listen to Brian Enton and see what he had to say about it.
So 40 names and 40 photos, and is asking the gun stores to tell them whether or not these people have been inside the store or whether or not they have purchased a gun. So this is brand new information. I don't know if that means that there's 40 suspects or persons of interest, or if they mixed a couple of names in there. That I don't know, but I can confirm that several gun stores say that that the FBI showed up with a list of 40 names and 40 photos and asked them to confirm whether those people have been inside the store or whether they have purchased a gun. And this is in the Tucson area. So that's pretty significant. Again, as the investigation continues, we're waiting on the DNA evidence. Libby Dean, one of my coworkers, is reporting that the DNA has not been put into CODIS yet. The DNA from the glove that was found, that should be happening soon. That's the federal database where they can kind of cross-reference it against other suspects. So just wanted to give you guys the latest. Hey guys, so some new info.
All right, so let me find this video from Brianna Whitney, because she put out a video yesterday too. Hold on. Yesterday they talked about how there is a belief that this is a potential robbery gone wrong, right? So here's a video that Brianna Whitney put out yesterday, explaining her sources.
Guys, we are now able to independently confirm some new information in the Nancy Guthrie investigation. This is from an inside source that is now reportable. I want to take you through the new information we've learned. We can now report investigators now believe this was a burglary gone wrong. We've interviewed multiple experts since this began who also said, based on the evidence, the surveillance video, and other aspects of this case, that they also believed this was not an intended kidnapping. As for Friday night's operations, law enforcement activity, we can now report from our inside source that DNA evidence is currently being tested that was found from that Range Rover at the scene outside.
So apparently this is the Range Rover that they pulled over, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the Range Rover that Luke Daly is the person who drove it.
Culver's. You could see when investigators were there, they put up a tarp that they were doing some sort of investigative work there. And last, but probably most important, the widespread belief by investigators tonight is that Nancy Guthrie could be alive. We'll keep you up to date as we learn more. We are working on many things behind the scenes, but again, tonight, big updates. They believe this was a burglary gone wrong. DNA evidence is being tested from the Range Rover, and the widespread belief by investigators is that Nancy Guthrie could be alive. Stick with us. We'll bring you the very latest as we learn more.
I'm really curious who her sources are, right? Because Matt Finn posted something yesterday on Twitter, and he was basically saying otherwise, right? He was saying that the FBI tells me that it has no clue where that came from, in response to the local news report that cites an inside source who says the Guthrie case was a burglary gone bad. Chillinois. A lot of people have been following Chillinois on some updates, and she said Savannah is probably that local reporter's source. So who are you guys believing? You guys believing the local news, or you guys going with Matt Finn and his FBI source, right? And then you guys in the comments, let me know, do the FBI, do they need to clear the family for all of this? Or is the sheriff, within their right scope of practice to, or sorry, scope of practice is a term that we use in nursing, right? Are they out of line for reporting that the family's been cleared, or should they have put out a joint statement with the FBI on who is or who isn't cleared? It's like watching a tennis match between the sources, right? Yeah, or a pissing contest. What do you guys think? I agree. This investigation has been botched from the get-go. I agree, right? Out of that 40, they're only looking maybe for only one person. They would all pick out from that 40 like a lineup. Matt also put out some good info about Nancy's niece that was arrested but didn't know if it was involved in the case. You're talking about what's her name? Something Day? I forget what her name is. Yeah, it's definitely a pissing contest, huh? FBI all the way. Yeah, see, so that was a question that I had. Can the sheriff department, you know, are they allowed to put out this statement? Or is it something that, you know, they needed to say, oh, Kayla Day, there you go, thank you. Or is this something that they needed to do as a together, right? Rach, not that Rach, welcome. Yeah, this one had me, I don't know. They cleared the family, huh? Cleared the family, family's cleared, botched, burglary gone wrong. Here's another video too that Matt put out earlier today, 26 seconds, and it basically shows the backyard or the back door of Nancy Guthrie, which basically shows her back door, the back door that leads to a garage, and then another window. So here, let's take a look at this.
Drone video that shows you an angle of Nancy Guthrie's house. You may not see too much. It's the back side of the home and the rear patio. Now the back door is blue with some window panes, and then there's a second blue door that seems to be attached or near the garage. Now from our wide unofficial view.
Now, you know, if you're asking me and you're asking me about my eyes, which aren't the best, right? I don't see any forced entry. I don't even see like there was any kind of damage done in the backyard. So I don't know if there was any activity in the backyard.
We can't see any signs of smashed glass or noticeable signs of forced entry, but that's just, you know,
right?
Our unofficial survey.
Mark, is this your video? Mark, is this your video you caught from the backyard?
Drone video that shows you an angle of Nancy Guthrie's house. You may not see too much. It's the back side of the home and the rear patio. Now the back door is blue with some window panes, and then there's a second blue door that seems to be attached or near the garage. Now from our wide unofficial view, we can't see any signs of smashed glass or noticeable signs of forced entry, but that's just, you know, our unofficial survey. Drone
Ooh. What do you guys think about this backyard stuff, huh? It doesn't look like there was any... the backyard looks clean to me, unless they had some other people come to the house and clean it up, right? Because we know that there's been a lot of that going on. Even today, right? There were people that were seen going into Nancy Guthrie's home. Maybe not inside, but they were outside. Here's Brian Enton with... earlier today, right?
Hey guys, so an update here from Nancy Guthrie's house. There are two people who showed up, one in a pickup truck and one in a Subaru. The sheriff's deputies let them through, and they went to the back of the house. One of the men was holding a briefcase, and we could see them go to the back of the house, and then we could see with our drone that they went inside the house. I'm not sure why. We don't know who they are. There was no markings on the car. It does not appear that they are law enforcement, but the deputies here obviously...
I don't know. They're probably like some locksmith, though, trying to unlock something. I don't know.
They knew that they were coming because they let them through and they let them go to the back of the house. So I haven't seen that happen before. I don't know if it's like someone that the family sent over to get something out of the house. That kind of occurred to me. Maybe a private investigator, something like that. I don't know. But it was just something that I haven't seen happen before, and one of them is actually still here at the house right now. So I'll keep an eye on it. Obviously, the big development now has been from the sheriff's office saying that, you know, that there's no DNA matches in CODIS at this point. So I'll keep you guys posted if anything else develops.
No matches. Let me see. When was this posted? This was posted today. So this is Brianna Whitney giving us her update for today. I guess you know, the glove, the DNA came back and it wasn't a match with the suspect.
County Sheriff Chris Nanos has now confirmed the pair of black gloves that was found off the side of the road about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home that had an unknown DNA profile on it that was submitted to FBI's CODIS database. The sheriff confirming there is no DNA hit on those black gloves compared to CODIS, which means whoever's profile is on those gloves was not a previously convicted felon. They also came out with a clarifying statement after that saying that the DNA on the gloves also did not come back as a match to any DNA found at Nancy's.
Well, I mean, you know what though, Kalohi, to be honest with you, if Brian Enton was to go live and stay live, I bet you he might pull a crowd, right? But I don't know, their style of reporting is a lot different. You know, I do know that Enton is the go-to person for their news, right? He is killing it. Let's be real, he's killing it. But JLR is just giving us that raw live feed, what, 12 hours a day? So shout out to JLR for that.
Property. There is a chance they try to move forward with either familial DNA or genetic genealogy with that DNA profile from the black gloves. There's also still a chance that those black gloves were unrelated to the Guthrie case. But we're still waiting for more DNA testing to come back. PCSD did confirm that they're still working on testing and analyzing DNA found in Nancy Guthrie's home, as well as other DNA that was found in last week's operations. We know from our inside source that there is DNA evidence being tested by that Range Rover.
There you go with her inside source, right? The one that said this was a burglary gone wrong. She's got another inside source, y'all.
That was searched and towed away last Friday. We also got confirmation back from the company that uses that blue fly signal sniffer technology used to try to find and locate Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker. The company confirmed that they used this device on a helicopter over Nancy Guthrie's home in the neighborhood on February 3rd. We were out there at the time we saw those low searches by air. I took this video. They said the technology was used after that too for other searches, including by air, by foot, and by vehicle. But the company said due to the sensitivity of the investigation, they're not revealing more about what they found or about additional operations. That is the very latest we have learned on the DNA testing front and the signal sniffing technology front as of Tuesday morning. Hi guys, let's go over everything.
So SF put a tweet out that basically said, Brianna Whitney has confirmed it was Blue Fly Signal Sniffer used. That is the unit I mentioned in my tweets and interviews that I had prior search experience with and I felt was being used, contrary to other claims. And then he continued to say that he was going to be on Court TV and CNN. So thank you for that. And then Sheriff Nanos did I don't know, he went on a media frenzy today and he just met with everybody, right? But we have video from ABC 15 Arizona where he sat down. Who did he sit down with? I don't know who he was with, but he basically just answered a few questions, you guys. And I want you guys to know, did he pass the test? Did he pass or did he fail?
When you first get that call, what advice would you go back and give yourself now? Is there anything you do differently?
You know, that's been asked 100 times. First of all, I think to answer that, people need to understand. I have a team of investigators and a forensic team that process crime scenes all the time, have done so for decades. They have solved hundreds, if not thousands of cases. And so to sit back and judge them or question them, that's just crazy.
It's a lot of
they're my experts. I have to rely on them. I'll put their solvency rate against anybody in the nation in terms of those difficult crimes, homicides, robberies, rapes. They do a tremendous job. I have a great team that does good work. So I've heard all the pundits out there about, oh, we closed the crime scene too early, this, that, and the other. They have no clue. Where did they make that statement from? I have a team that goes there.
Miss Dizzle.
20 some hours there. They came out of there. They immediately contact the FBI. That was another story. Oh, the sheriff is blocking the FBI. Where that stuff comes from, I have no idea. We have worked with the FBI at their office.
And now if you're listening to this interview, right, his tone has completely changed. And let me try to find that other video really quick of back in 2016 where he had a few words on the opposite end of the spectrum for the FBI, right?
For decades. They have worked here for decades. We've always gotten along with the FBI. When decisions are made about an investigation like this, and we're partners with it's not just the FBI, my Pima Regional Critical Incident Team, which includes every agency in this valley. That wasn't the sheriff put that together. That was 11 law enforcement leaders in this county, along with the sheriff, deciding that we need to be transparent when we handle such things as officer-involved shootings.
All of this.
Major investigations.
Hold on. Before we continue, let's
Pima County
let's listen to this interview. Let's kind of just remind you his tone of voice back in 2016. Hold on. Let me make sure that I can find where we are at.
Sheriff Chris Nanos firing back after the FBI investigating the Sheriff's Department over spending. This comes after an article published by the Arizona Daily Star says the department spent funds seized in drug investigations on a cafe for employees at the Sheriff's Department headquarters.
Am I upset at the FBI? Absolutely. They should be. They get by with saying no comment.
No comment.
Who does that in today's world? Who does that?
Ooh.
Yet they get by with that. And when this thing's all resolved and the case is all over, I challenge him. I challenge Mr. Black to stand up to that camera by himself and say, we have looked at this investigation and we have exonerated, completely find this investigation to be total BS.
Sheriff Nanos explains why he built the cafe so close for his employees at the jail.
How do we get it filled? It's not easy to get somebody in here because you have to, first of all, have a background. But when Chris said, you know, I could get my niece, she does a catering service, she'll come in here and charge us nothing, I thought, well, we don't want any money
There's
for
the
it.
other movie.
I didn't want to make money on the deal. I just wanted to give my employees something cheap.
Yeah, they're wild.
A decent meal. You see where we're at. You got 20 minutes to get to a restaurant and back and have your food done. Some places it's not possible. The heck with this preliminary investigation. Why are you doing a preliminary investigation? I want the FBI to send this case, take it away from the director here. He's already showed his bias. He is biased on this case.
Ooh.
He's already done that. He's shown it. And I'd like them to take it away from here, send it to Phoenix, send it to Washington, D.C., and start a full-blown investigation.
Sheriff Nanos says
a full-blown investigation. Now let's go back to this video, right?
Investigations. And so we rely on each other and we partner. Staffing is a big issue.
That tone of voice, boy, I tell you, he switched up real quick, right?
Every agency is short-staffed. So we double up and help each other. Right now, 400 officers out in this community work in this very case.
This case.
From the federal government to the state government to all our valley agents.
I don't mean to cut you off here. I am on a time crunch, so I want to get some in here. One of the other rumors that's been going wild, and at least one report of it is this has become a burglary gone wrong investigation. I know you have not mentioned that. You haven't talked about forced entry here. Do you have a theory on how this perp got in the house? Did Nancy open the door for a man in a mask with a gun?
First of all, the sheriff's theories don't really matter. It's those who are investigating this case, their theories, their thoughts.
Ooh.
And they share that and work that together as a team. And all of those possibilities are something we all look at and consider. But it'd be very irresponsible of me to give out certain key pieces of this case so that the public can know.
And parts, yeah, don't do it.
The thing that has been put out to the public, I know the FBI and you both released those images from the doorbell camera. Have all the images that you have been released, or are there more that...
Oh my goodness, no, because we have so many images from ring cameras and videos, traffic videos, intersection videos. You can't. But anything that we look at and say, this is critical, this can help us. See, that's where the public really can help us. We don't need all the pundits. We need you to tell us something you might have seen, heard, or know that can help us find Nancy. That's the focus, not the politics, not the wild guesses. We just need to know I firmly believe someone out there knows something. Someone out there saw something, heard something. We need that person to call us.
Has there been any evidence so far that Nancy is still alive, or is it just hope of investigators and the family?
Oh, okay. So now he's asking the real questions, right? Let's see how he answers this one.
There's been no evidence that she's not.
That was not the question, yo.
Family.
There's been no evidence that she's not.
Well, do you have evidence that she is?
Investigators and the family.
That's what we want to know, right? We want to know, is she still alive?
Evidence that she's not.
Yeah.
And it is hope, but sometimes that's all you have, and you have to go with that. And it's not just the family, it's not just my investigators, it's me. Yeah. We have to have some hope.
You cleared the family yesterday publicly. I think that may have happened earlier in the investigation. Are you able to, the people we saw detained last week in Rio Rico Tuesday and then on Friday, have either or both of those incidents, have those folks been cleared yet?
Well, I think in my mind, we've cleared them to a point where we feel like, okay, we've talked with them. We've done some checking on what they were reporting as maybe an alibi or whatever. We validated some information. There's still some evidence that we need to process because we did search warrants at those homes. But yes, if detectives weren't satisfied, they wouldn't have been released.
Very mentally and emotionally unstable, and may have caused Nancy's continued suffering and demise. You know, the sheriff thing publicly that they cleared the family, they could be an attempt to get the suspect to chill out and not look over their shoulder. Yeah, that's definitely something that I thought of too, right? Could this just be a ploy just to have the suspects just kind of laid back, relax a little bit, right? I want to jump over to Brian Enton because Brian Enton also interviewed him too, but I want to see what questions he asked him.
Pima County Sheriff's Office right now. Just a little while ago, I wrapped up an interview with the sheriff. Got a lot of new information, some stuff about the cameras at Nancy's house. I knew that
he said, that is not good enough, asshole. You are not supposed to say that we will search. Oh, you're supposed to say we will search the ends of the earth for her. Not hope is all we've got, right? He makes me insane. I have to mute him again. Kalohi, you're feeling some type of way, huh? I think he does better when it's one-on-one because the press conferences have been all over the place. Yeah, they really want the answers, right? But I feel like these reporters are really giving him the tough ones too. Maybe they're rehearsed, maybe they're not.
There were other Google Nest cameras, and I was wondering if they had the video yet from those, just like they did from the front, if the FBI was able to get it. He says no, that they're waiting on Google. He's going to explain that. Also, new information about the DNA testing. There was no match with CODIS. It's interesting that the FBI is telling us that, by the way. What does that actually mean? Could there be something going on behind the scenes? I've got my retired FBI friend who's going to kind of explain all of that. And then there was some action at Nancy Guthrie's house today that I have video of, some of it a little perplexing. I'll get into all of it in this episode of Brian Enton Investigates. Hey guys, so I'm outside the Pima County Sheriff's Office, and again, I'm going to get to that interview with the sheriff in a second.
Yeah, he's got a nice camera. It's a nice camera. What is that, the Osmo Pocket 3?
But I wanted to give you all the latest updates from today. Some are pretty significant. First of all, when it comes to DNA, we learned that they put the DNA from the glove that was located about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house. They put the DNA into the FBI CODIS database, which is the database where all of the criminals, their DNA is entered into.
We're going to jump ahead really quick just to hear him speak with Chris Nanos.
This is my interview with the sheriff. Thank you for doing this, Sheriff. Appreciate it very much. I know that you and the FBI were able to get those surveillance photos off the camera in the front of the house.
Yeah.
Any progress on the other cameras? Can you do the same thing?
Boy, I'm hopeful. Here's what happened here. So we, of course, that camera we don't have, right? It was taken, removed from the scene, but we knew it existed, and we asked, I think it's Google Nest, Google, hey, what can you do with this? And we gave them the other cameras and asked the same. And they said, well, there's not a subscription here. And it is hard because it overwrites itself, right? Every, I don't know how many hours, maybe it's every 36 or 72, whatever it is. But you know what, Sheriff, we'll try. Thank you. Away they went. They came back with this. And I'm going to try to explain this as a simple man that I am would. They explained it, it's like peeling paint. You have images over images over images, and you want to get to that 8th layer. or the 6th layer. And you got to peel back very easily because you might destroy the layer you wanted. So they were able to do that. I said, oh, this is really, that piece of evidence. Oh, they kept it 10 days. No, we all sat here right in our command post with the FBI and went, this is really great stuff. We need this out there. So I don't know that it was here more than 2 hours, and it's only because we had to do some cutting of the way they sent it to us and prepare it to get out to the media, and had to check with Washington, all those things that the FBI had to do as well. And we got it out probably less than 2 hours. And it generated, in that first hour for us, just alone here at the department, almost 5,000 tips. So it's a great piece of evidence. So there's other cameras. Your question, will we get more? We've asked the Google, hey guys, can you do this? And they said the very same thing. Sheriff, we don't think we can get anything, but we'll try. And that's all we're hopeful.
And so as of now, it's still just the video from the front?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if I believe all of that, right? Google or the FBI is working with Google. I don't know how much involvement the sheriff's department has with that. I do believe that if they were able to take data, right? Because it wasn't specifically the video data or any video files at all. What they were able to do was just scrape the data, put it together, I guess using FBI's some advanced technology that they have to recreate the video that we saw. And so I'm also wondering too, is that all the video that they have from what they've already shown us, right? Because Mark the Shark actually pointed out too that TMZ has a video of the doorbell footage that's a lot longer than what the FBI put out. I think what the FBI put out was like 26 seconds, and I think TMZ put out one that was like 50 seconds.
Savannah Guthrie, Nancy's daughter, obviously very famous, loved around the country. Is this really random, or do you think someone may have had, like, you know, a grievance against Savannah? Have you been able to sort that out at all?
You know, well, yeah. But anything's possible, right? I mean, there was talk, well, this was a burglary gone bad. This was that. Those things have never come out of this office because we recognize that anything is possible, and we'll allow that evidence to show us what it is. The time to ask that question, motive, is when we actually know who's done this. And so, yeah, I get the speculation, but yeah, for me, I just looked at it and said from day one that Nancy was removed from her home against her will. We need to find her.
I know your deputies, detectives are working around the clock. I mean, we see them, you know. How long can this go on for in terms of the investigation at this level?
Because of the media, really, and that's a good thing, right? Because of the media, we've generated so many leads. I know last Wednesday we had 18,000 leads. The FBI had 14. So you're talking over 30,000.
It's the same
We're probably
numbers.
closer to 40 or 50,000. As long as those leads keep coming, we'll keep at it.
I know you've said you can't, for the investigative reasons, talk about what you found in the house. But is there a lot in the house that you're not able to say? I mean, is there a lot of evidence we don't know about in terms of this being a crime?
No, again, you're asking me something that I can't talk about. I will tell you this. We removed some biological
weapons.
evidence, prints, DNA.
Just keep this in mind, you guys.
All of that was removed and sent to the lab. We removed physical evidence, computers, phones, everything, anything we could. And that's submitted to another lab. That was given to the FBI. And why do we give it to the FBI? Because we know that they're very
Jordan
good
Breezy,
with that stuff.
welcome.
And so we share with them that. Why did we give ours to our lab? Because it's what we've done for years, and our lab's always done well. In fact, we've used the FBI before. They're very good at solving things and doing things. But the FBI, not unlike our Department of Public Safety in Phoenix, they have a lab. They could have been used. But we look at it as this. If I use, for example, a state lab, DPS, or the federal lab, Quantico, you have to understand they have others using those labs too. And so it really puts a lot of strain on them to prioritize those cases and do what they can with them, where if I have my own lab or a contract lab, it allows me easier access to those cases that I think are important to us. And I'm not talking this case, I'm just talking cases in general. We could build a lab, but that's pretty expensive too. We just found that this lab we use is very good. Were they in Florida at the time? I have no idea. But I know that in today's world of technology, reports are generated and sent out in the flash of an eye. What we need to know is when we send something to a lab, can we get it back to us quickly? Can we have a rush order, if you will? Well, sometimes I want this now, but the FBI may say, well, we understand that, but New York has a crime, LA has a crime, so it's not against the labs. And so when this piece of evidence, we did what we normally do, we sent it to the lab, and we did that scene. Then
I'm looking for a video really quick of someone who was a guest on another show, and she was basically talking about why the private lab is not a bad idea. So let's just jump ahead into this really quick.
All right, at this hour, the FBI is awaiting DNA results from a glove that was found 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. It's been 16 days since Nancy Guthrie was abducted, and this could potentially lead to a big break in the case. The FBI shared that the glove appears to match those worn by the suspect in that surveillance video from Guthrie's front door camera. The DNA profile of the unknown male will soon be put into a national DNA database called CODIS to see if there's a match to anybody who's been convicted of a crime in another state. Let's bring in Cece Moore, a DNA genealogy expert. So, Cece, the sheriff has not said what kind of DNA they found in the house and on that glove. Does it make a difference if it's touch DNA versus blood DNA?
It really won't. They will be able to extract that DNA and create a profile either way. The equipment that we use now, and in particular this lab in Florida uses, is really fantastic. It's really come a long way. And so I would be confident that regardless of the type of DNA, that they will be able to generate that full profile.
So the Florida lab that Pima County Sheriff's Office uses and has used for many years will then give the FBI these DNA results. The FBI will run it through CODIS, right? Or did you say there actually might be some restrictions because the DNA was found on a glove that was 2 miles from the crime scene, not in the crime scene?
Well, I don't want to second guess anyone if the FBI has determined that they feel that.
And that's the part that trips me out too, right? Just them finding a glove 2 miles away. And I want to say yesterday, JLR also found another glove that was in one of the I don't know, in one of the washes. And, they called the FBI and they waited for about an hour and nobody came. And then JLR came back the very next day to check up on the glove, and the glove was still there. I don't know. Did they find enough gloves? Was 16 like their number that they needed, and just decided that a glove that was closer to Nancy's house, just not relevant, not important? I found that really odd too, right? They were picking up gloves from everywhere else, but that glove was not important at all.
It's more likely than not the same glove, then there shouldn't be an issue. It's just that the FBI has very strict regulations around CODIS, and typically you wouldn't be able to put DNA in there unless you were, pretty strongly believing that it is tied to that crime. So they may have other reasons.
I think they believe it. I think they believe there's a very good chance of that. Okay, so everybody in CODIS has been either convicted of a crime or in some states arrested on suspicion of a crime. There's also DNA from unsolved crimes in this data bank. But if this DNA doesn't match anybody in CODIS, the search doesn't end there. Could the FBI find a link by using genealogy websites like they did in the Brian Kohberger case or the Golden State Killer case.
Absolutely. And I suspect they are.
Hey, Poetically Speaking, thank you so much for that gifted membership. If you received the gifted membership, make sure you thank Poetically Speaking. Oh, Jordan Breezy got one. Hey, welcome to the inner circle, you guys. Thank you for your support on the channel, Poetically Speaking. It is very much appreciated here.
We're doing parallel analyses right now in order to not waste any time. And that's another reason that it was actually a good decision to send it to DNA Labs International, in my opinion, because they have the capability to create that SNP profile that we need for genetic genealogy. The FBI doesn't have that in-house. They always have to send that out to a third party. So this way, like they apparently did in the Kohberger case, they can be working both of those analyses at once.
Military
and then
Mom,
as soon
welcome.
as they don't get a hit in CODIS, they can really focus their attention on the genetic genealogy portion.
And Cece, they have to, I mean, at some point, these genealogy websites began asking people for their permission to allow law enforcement to use their DNA profile in searches like this. Do they only have access to people who checked yes?
Yes. So although there are over 50 million people who have taken these consumer DNA tests, unfortunately, law enforcement is limited to the 2 or 3 smallest databases. So only about 2 million profiles are able to be compared against these types of profiles.
And do me a favor, you guys. I hate to interrupt the show, but if you guys can do me a favor and hit the like button, you guys. And if you guys aren't subscribed, consider subscribing to the channel, you guys. We got a very small crowd today, so everything helps. If you guys like this video, it just helps it kind of push the video out to a larger audience. And obviously, our goal is to grow, right? So if you're already subscribed, you're doing what you got to do. And if you like the video, I appreciate you. So do me a favor, hit that like button if you haven't already. Thank you.
At GEDmatch, you have to not only upload there, but check a box to say that law enforcement is allowed to compare against the DNA. So only about 1/3 of that database is searchable. And then Family Tree DNA, the whole database is searchable except for those who've actively opted out. But it really makes our work so much more difficult.
Wow. Fascinating work. Cece Moore, I'm sure we will have more conversations with you as this DNA testing continues this week. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
So I want to ask you guys, did the sheriff's department, did they make a mistake by sending the glove to a private lab, or did they do the right thing? What are your thoughts? I want to know what you guys are thinking down there in the chat. Where's this video at? Hold on, I'm trying to look for this video. All right, let's go back to Brian Enton.
Another scene when we did a search warrant out in Rio Rico. So all that was gone. Now we find a glove. The FBI says, well, we can send it to Quantico. And I said, well, you know what? Let's keep it all in one place. Let's just send it all to our lab. No, it's not like, no, FBI's got a bad lab, or no, the sheriff's department uses DNL, they're a bad lab. No, it is about keeping your evidence together in one spot. And when that report comes out, it goes to both agencies. It just made sense. In fact, all of this conversation I had with you, when they said,
oh shoot, Coco Mom is lurking in the chats and she just gifted 5 memberships. If you receive, who received that? Don, Jenna Bug, Incognito, Emma, and Yvonne. Coco Mom, queen of the chat, thank you so much for your gifted memberships. Please make sure you thank Coco Mom if you received the gifted membership, y'all.
the sheriff blocked evidence. This conversation I had with the FBI.
Kalohi, I'm sure your ears are hurting right now listening to this guy.
And it was done. There's no blocking evidence or just crazy.
Let me ask you. Okay, we've seen the photos from the surveillance camera in the front of the man. Do you think there could be a second suspect?
You saw what I saw. We know he is a bad dude. He's who we want. Is there somebody else working with him? I don't know that.
Well, if you don't know, who knows?
We'll know it when we find him.
The TMZ letters. I've lost count of how many they've received. TMZ, they've been receiving these letters claiming that it's from someone involved.
So, yeah, the ransoms type things or those kinds of letters.
And I know FBI is investigating that part, right?
Correct.
But do you think they're legit? Because it seems like every day they're on TV with a new letter.
Again,
You're going to
you wanna
continue
go
to hear
your
this guy,
experts, right?
Chloe, not just from me,
It
but
would be irresponsible
until
for me
this
to
case
give
is
my
solved.
opinion on something that we've given to the FBI to look into.
You're right,
That's
though,
their-
Eileen, right?
that's their bail.
Who wouldn't use the FBI if at your disposal, right? I mean, shit, if the FBI is already there, you've already reached out to them, there's a debate if they called them soon enough or if, you know, they made the call in appropriate timing. But if you already have the FBI at your disposal, shit, why not just send everything to Quantico?
We'll let them handle that.
In the search warrants, we saw the one in Rio Rico, and then we saw the one close to, I think, 2 miles from Nancy's house on Friday night. Does that mean that you all believe the suspect could be close? Because it seems like the action we're seeing so far is right in the Tucson area.
So how those develop is this, and you may see it today.
Goal asked a really good question, right? So by him saying that, does it mean they don't have any footage of the second person? I think, I don't know. Type a 1 in the chat if you think that there was more than one person. Type a 2 in the chat if you think that it was this guy was rolling solo dolo.
May not be anything today. You may see 5 of them today. But what happens is this. We have 400 investigators out there from all agencies, not just in this valley, the 10 different law enforcement agencies, but some from Phoenix and FBI from across the country.
Oh, shit.
And they're out there shaking down leads.
Coco Mom doing the most in the chat. Thank you, Coco Mom. Coco Mom just gifted another 5 memberships. Violet, Mama Jax, The Depressionist, I Soldering, and a Tree Cat Shade. Welcome to the Inner Circle. Make sure you thank Coco Mom for the gifted memberships.
1,000 leads. Every morning they get up, and they're working 24/7.
Okay, so some of you guys are voting a 1 in the chat. So you guys think that this person did not act alone. So you think that there was more than one person involved? 3. David is guilty. What is 3? What is 3?
Lead.
Yeah, we're gonna vote strategic for sheriff, right, Chloe?
Told go check on this, and that lead develops. And as they move through it, it grows and grows like a snowball, just getting bigger and bigger to a point where they go, you know what? I think we've developed a person of interest. I think we've got something here that maybe we need to go back and brief on. So they come back in and they talk to the command post who's there. U.S. attorney, county attorneys, different law people behind different areas of law who sit back and discuss it and say, you know what, maybe there's enough here for a search warrant. Maybe we got to get petition for physical characteristics. Maybe that characteristic is a photo. Maybe it's buckle cells. Maybe it's finger, whatever it is. And we present it to a judge. And a judge says, yeah, I think there's enough. He signs it. That's how that snowballs. And everybody's energetic and they're so enthused. I wish you could see the face of the young men and women out there who are working these and all the energy, because it's what happens in investigations, particularly bigger investigations, where they're so excited, probably like you are. We've got a good lead, we're going to, and then it falls through. It's not the person. Nancy's not at that house. But that's part of the ebbs and flows of an investigation. You're going to have those highs and lows. So for me, that's why it's important that I dispel some of the things that are out there so my team knows that, no. They're a solid team. This is a team who solves crime every day.
So Ronan says, 1, there was a grab man, 2, driver for the getaway, and 3, the brains that set this up. So 3 people in my opinion, right? Really quick, before we continue on this whole DNA stuff, I do want to bring up another, there was another podcast that I was watching, and they had this DNA expert talking about this Florida lab as well. And so they were talking about, why this private lab was a way better decision than sending it to the FBI. And I want you guys to pay attention to this, because when I was listening to it, I mean, it kind of made sense, hold on, let me see. I want to make sure that let's see.
License out here on the street.
So this is a clip from Surviving the Survivors podcast with Joel Waldman. And he was talking to a detective from Las Vegas homicide. So Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. And I can't remember the other person, but this is what they were saying about the private lab in Florida. So shout out to Surviving Surviving the Survivor. Make sure you guys go check him out and give him a follow as well. But listen to this, you guys. Found this really interesting.
Street, and then you got a social security number at the scene and they match. You got to have a direct physical match before you can say that glove belongs to that guy on the porch.
Yeah, and that's what I wasn't fully understanding, and now I do, and that makes a lot more sense. Now, Mac, to you, they're basically saying that the DNA could come back essentially any hour or any minute.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on behind the scenes? I mean, we know there's some sort of peeing match between the feds and Pima, and they're sending it to a lab in Florida. Should it, in your opinion, be going to the FBI lab in Quantico? But what does this mean? It should be back in any hour. What does that mean for the public?
The biggest clue that I got is the FBI put out a statement. And in that statement, they already said it was male DNA. So they're talking to you already. I think they already know. I think today they're setting up for the press conference tomorrow. I think they're going to be able to say, and this is my guess,
Which we still haven't had, right? There still hasn't been any sort of press conference.
that they're going to say the DNA on that glove matched DNA on the broken camera pieces or something. They're going to be able to say this glove belonged to that scene. And now if he is or is not in CODIS, we're going to go toward ancestry. I think they're going to tell us the step by step. I mean, I think they played their hand because you remember when they put the tarps up and they said, we're going to come and tell y'all something in an hour. And then nobody talked to us at all.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't do that here. They just told us something they didn't have to tell us.
David.
So here's my 2 cents about the private lab. It absolutely should have gone to a private lab because of time. If there's a chance Nancy Guthrie is alive, we can't wait 3 months for something to come back.
Now, a lot of people have been arguing this whole time sensitive thing, right? Saying that the FBI is the better option because they have all the resources to exhaust. However, this lady is saying otherwise, right? The private lab is the better option to go. So I want you guys to listen to why she explains why the private lab is better.
DNA on the broken camera pieces. Now, if he is or is not in CODIS, I mean, I think they played their hand because you remember when they put the tarps up and they said, we're going to come and tell y'all something in an hour. And then nobody talked to us at all.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't do that here. They just told us something they didn't have to tell us. So here's my 2 cents about the private lab. It absolutely should have gone to a private lab because of time. If there's a chance Nancy Guthrie is alive, we can't wait 3 months for something to come back. Labs at the state level and even the FBI lab cannot do what these private labs can do in 24 hours. And let me just break it down real quick.
Yeah.
Y'all, back in the day, we had to have about 1,300 cells to get a profile. Othram today needs 7. 7. And they can turn it around just like that. We saw them do it with Coburger. They got that done in a day, and it was Thanksgiving.
How many cells did you say it used to be?
1,300.
Whoa, and now it's 7. Wow. Okay.
7. And it used to be it would take 6 months. I mean, usually, y'all, when we sent something off for DNA, we just almost forgot about it and kept working, you know, the boots on the ground, old school, just pencil and paper. We don't have to do that anymore. And I think that's why you haven't seen the Guthrie family. I think that's why they haven't done a joint press conference. They're waiting. And I think tomorrow is the day.
Phil Ramos.
Well, unfortunately, this was done on the 15th. So that was on Sunday. And we're now into Tuesday. And we still have yet to hear from anybody, right? And who was it? Gold Digger who said that earlier? Or was a comment? Essentially the DNA. Oh, Gold Digger, yeah, it was you. DNA on the glove did not match the DNA in the house. So, I mean, I guess that really doesn't matter, right? Vapethoven said, I love this lady's accent, though. Deep levels of love for her. Yeah, shout out to her, right? I mean, she made a good point, at least to me. I don't know. You guys can be the judge, but I think that totally made sense to me, right? I mean, I also saw on another podcast too. I can't remember which one, but they were saying that when it comes to stuff like this, the FBI normally goes out to do third-party contracts anyways when it comes to this type of DNA collection. So, I mean, why not go, right? They said they have technology where they can utilize only 7 different cells to get a match, as opposed to the FBI back then when they needed 1,300. So, no, definitely, right? Joel always has some really good guests on his show. So shout out to Surviving the Survivor. Definitely go check them out if you guys haven't already. Jennabug, you were gifted a membership. Yes, welcome to the Inner Circle. Mama Jax was gifted one too. Who else was in the chat and received one? Let's see, where were we? I don't know if we read the. Did we read this one already? Okay, no, we saw this video. And then Brianna Whitney, right? She's a local. She works for, I think, KOLD. So she put out a video with the latest updates on today. And forgive me because I'm not caught up with everything that happened today as well. You guys can keep me updated in the chat as well. Thank you guys.
We have learned regarding DNA testing in the Guthrie case. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos has now confirmed the pair of black gloves that was found off the side of the road about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home that had an unknown DNA profile on it that was submitted to FBI's CODIS database. The sheriff confirming there is no DNA hit on those black gloves compared to CODIS, which means whoever's profile is on those gloves was not a previously convicted felon. They also came out with a clarifying statement after that, saying that the DNA on the gloves also did not come back as a match to any DNA found at Nancy's property. There is a chance they try to move forward with either familial DNA or genetic genealogy with that DNA profile from the black gloves. There's also still a chance that those black gloves
today,
were unrelated to the Guthrie case. But we're
the sun, but it was not bright. Not, at least not out here in LA. It rained, and it rained pretty hard out here.
still waiting for more DNA testing to come back. PCSD did confirm that they're still working on testing and analyzing DNA found in Nancy Guthrie's home, as well as other DNA that was found in last week's operations. We know from our inside source that there is DNA evidence being tested by that Range Rover that was searched and towed away last Friday. We also got confirmation back from the company that uses that blue fly signal sniffer technology used to try to find and locate Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker. The company confirmed that they used this device on a helicopter over Nancy Guthrie's home in the neighborhood on February 3rd. We were out there at the time we saw those low searches by air. I took this video. They said the technology was used after that too for other searches, including by air, by foot, and by vehicle. But the company said due to the sensitivity of the investigation, they're not revealing more about what they found or about additional operations. That is the very latest we have learned on the DNA testing front and the signal sniffing technology front as of Tuesday morning.
I'm just waiting for somebody to put out a tweet that says, I don't know what she's talking about. I don't know where she got her sources from. All right. Let me see. Extra put out this short little clip earlier today. This is only 2 minutes long. Basically saying new worries for Savannah Guthrie amid search for her missing mom, Nancy.
She looks devastated.
She looks devastated. Jesus, that's how you guys are going to start off with?
Still.
And Ronan, that's not fair. You guys got all the sun in Washington out of all places, huh? Y'all just gave us the rain and said, rock on with your day.
Have hope. She looks like she's struggling. We are here.
Damn, Extra's just going in on her, huh? Fuck, chill.
Still have hope. She looks like she's struggling. We are here. We believe.
Poetically Speaking just gifted another membership. JJ, say y'all need therapy. Welcome to the Inner Circle. Make sure you thank Poetically Speaking for the gifted membership. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support, Poetically.
The country has been praying for Nancy Guthrie. Now friends are also sharing their fears and worries for her daughter, telling Page 6 that Savannah's latest plea was profoundly disturbing. And it's never too late. Jennifer Gardner and Kerry Washington posted a simple heart emoji on Savannah's emotional message. Viola Davis saying, arms around you and prayers in abundance. Maria Shriver, you and your family are being held up with love, supported with love, guided with hope. As news broke, authorities insisted everyone in the Guthrie family has been ruled out as suspects.
We have received a fourth letter.
TMZ receiving a fourth mysterious message from someone demanding Bitcoin in exchange for the identity of Nancy's kidnapper.
They say in this note that they saw Nancy 5 days ago south of the border.
Executive producer Charles Latibaudiere, is there any indication that this is credible, that this is real information?
Well, that is the puzzling thing about it. You read it, and in one sense, you're hopeful that this is someone who actually does have information. On the other hand, you look at it and you can go, is this just some crackpot? Harvey made a plea directly to this person saying,
I would too, Empires. I look like
have the
shit.
information,
send us the information. We will immediately pass it on to the FBI. Then you have a record that you're the one. If it's legit,
we'll see if it actually pans out.
Wasn't Harvey wearing a different colored shirt, or was that just filmed the other day? This guy just got everything, you know, just scripted out, ready to go.
Out into anything, but we figured let's give it a shot, see what happens.
I will never stop needing you. No, it's an honor and a privilege. It really is.
This morning, Savannah's Today Show family talked about this family's special bond. Hoda revealing the message she's gotten.
One thing they kept repeating, which struck me, is she's like all of our moms.
Yeah.
She's like all of our moms. Tell her we're praying. Tell her we're here. And I think that's so important.
Okay, that was extra. Here's another video that Fox put out about 3 hours ago regarding the deep dive for the forensic analysis.
We are on day 17 in the search for Nancy Guthrie.
You guys, day 17, you guys. Are you guys still hopeful? Honest question. Hold on. We're going to make this a poll, right? But how many of you guys are hopeful? Let me just remove this really quick. Hopefully that made sense.
Feels like we're back at square one. Sheriff Nanos confirming to Fox's Jonathan Hunt today that the DNA found on the glove does not match any of the DNA found in the house. And it appears they're no closer to figuring out who the suspect is.
We haven't narrowed it down to anything other than...
God, this guy has taken at least 3 interviews today. God, this circus. Sorry, Sheriff Nanos, but you get one of these today.
Pieces of evidence that we're looking at to try to find this individual, whether it be DNA, whether it be that ring camera video, whether it be evidence at a Walmart that might lead us to somebody.
Was there anything taken from the home other than Nancy Guthrie?
I cannot say that.
Was there sign of a struggle in the home?
I can't comment to what happened in that home or didn't happen.
Out of uniform, that's kind of interesting. Here to respond is Stuart Kaplan, former FBI special agent, and Callahan Walsh, co-host of America's Most Wanted. Okay, Stuart, what now? I think people held out hope that a glove, which, I mean, you find gloves everywhere these days on the side of the road, but, and why won't the sheriff tell us more about what happened inside the house?
Thank you for having me, Laura. Let me start this way. It's what the FBI is not telling us. I know my agency. I can tell.
We have 45 people in the chat, and we only have 17 votes. You guys, can a few more of you guys vote? All it takes is a click, you guys. Let's get those votes up.
You that they are in a deep dive in forensic analysis.
Abraham,
I think they're
what's
very
going on?
concerned about protecting.
Welcome.
Very sensitive techniques that have been deployed in this particular case. I think they are concerned about avoiding jeopardizing future prosecutions because quite frankly, they don't want those techniques.
It says here, have not narrowed down the suspect list, you guys. I mean, maybe I'm starting to believe Nanos when he says that this, you know, it might take us years to find Nancy.
those sensitive forensic techniques that have in fact been utilized in this case to be known or published to the public. I will even go as far as saying, Laura, when I see my agency go dark or go silent, I do believe that they have a person or persons of interest. I think they are sifting through the analysis. I've said it time and time again. I think they are concerned about getting the right person right. I think they're exercising a measured approach. But let me tell you, the FBI is disciplined. This is the best FBI on the planet. They're doing what they're tasked to do. They're staying on point.
I hope you're right. Callahan, we're also learning that genetic genealogy testing is now being used in this case. The FBI told Fox Digital
IgG is a forensic method that uses crime scene DNA to identify potential relatives through public genealogy databases when traditional law enforcement databases like CODIS produce no matches. So they're probably talking about 23andMe. What's the other one? Hereditary? What's the other one? I can't think right now. Is it? I don't know. DNA.com? What? I don't know.
that investigative genetic genealogy is going to, they hope, identify potential relatives through public genealogy databases when traditional law enforcement databases like CODIS produce no matches. So Callahan, is this like Ancestry or 23andMe?
Oh,
those
Ancestry.
types of
I said Hereditary. I'm tripping.
deals?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Now, without the hit in CODIS, they need to expand their search. And luckily, we do have access to these databases. Thousands and thousands of people have...
Hey, Ram, you know what? I hope and pray that they took meds too, right? They spent 41 minutes in the house. They obviously didn't leave with anything except for Nancy. They didn't take her phone. They didn't take her watch. Yosh, you good? You good over there? You know, I mean, at least take meds. They also had a backpack that was full of shit. So who knows? I mean, it's if this was targeted, right? If they knew what they were doing and knew who they were going after, then maybe. But if this was ultimately a burglary gone wrong, I don't think that this genius of a kidnapper knew anything about grabbing medications, right? He probably didn't even know that she had a pacemaker.
Put their DNA into these private databases, but it will take a bit longer. You know, FBI is able to access CODIS right away. That's their database. But it's going to take some time for them to be able to go through these other databases. And let's hope there's a hit. Let's hope that they are...
Yeah, Leah. I mean, yeah, I did hear it's well known that you can buy a lot of drugs, right? I mean, I know that because as a nursing instructor, I have to constantly remind my students, you know, right before they're about to take their drug tests at school, that they shouldn't be on any medications. And a lot of the times I have a lot of students who do test positive, right? And it's not for any kind of hard drugs, but in fact, it's for a lot of like weight loss medications. And, you know, my students don't have prescriptions for them, right? But what they do is they go across the border and they can just buy them over the counter, right? So accessing drugs is not the hard part, right? But it's knowing what kind of drugs you can access when you're down past the border, right? And that's even if she's gone down into Mexico, right? But if she's on certain medications like warfarin, right, or Coumadin, that's not just a medication that you can just go to Mexico and buy over the counter, right? Maybe you can, but what I'm saying is medications like Coumadin, you have to have specific labs done in order to have that medication dosed specifically, you know, to be therapeutic for you. Now, if she's on something like Eliquis or Xarelto, right, those are just standard dose medications. But you also have to keep in mind, too, that even across the border in Mexico, there have been a lot of official pharmacies where a lot of those medications, right, they have tested positive with things like fentanyl in it. So even buying medications like antibiotics and stuff like that, a large percent, you guys can look this up, right? A large percent of pharmaceuticals, official pharmaceuticals, have tested positive for fentanyl. So I do urge you guys to, if you guys are getting medications across the border, to be very, very, very careful, because pharmacies, in Mexico, their medications are testing positive with fentanyl.
Able to find somebody out there that's related to this individual, that has done their ancestry report, that their DNA is on file, because I think we all put a lot of eggs in that basket that glove would come back with a match, and unfortunately it didn't pan out.
Yeah, Stuart, Sheriff Nanos has been very sensitive to the criticism he's received from early on. He's kind of pushed back on that.
Here, just to kind of show you guys, right? This is an article from UCLA Health that basically says counterfeit pills sold in Mexican pharmacies found to contain fentanyl, heroin, and methamphetamines. So this is an article that UCLA Health, which is one of the top hospitals out here in California, is basically saying. So let's see. Scientific brick and mortar. So pills sold mainly to U.S. tourists are often passed off as controlled substances such as oxycodone, Percocets, and Adderall. Okay, not necessarily like blood thinners, right? But what I'm saying is that a lot of these, look at that, 2 out of 3 had at least one controlled substance for sale without a prescription, either bottle or individual pills. That is a lot, if you ask me. Damn, where was I? No. Was it this one? No. Hold on. Damn, which one were we watching? No. Oh, this one right over here.
Some various interviews, but he's also given an evolving
Lovely eyes,
answers
what's up?
on whether or not he thinks that this is a targeted kidnapping. Watch.
Ronan.
Is there any indication so far as to whether this was a random abduction or targeted?
Same with Coca-Cola, right?
It's like I said earlier, we're looking at all the leads, and we don't know. We're going to assume both sides of that. Obviously, I misspoke, or maybe somebody misheard me, but I've never believed that she was or was not a target.
I believe it's a kidnapping.
I believe it was a kidnapping.
Targeted kidnapping.
Yes, I believe whoever did that knew what they were up to.
Stuart, he seems pretty clear on this now, but again, I think the public was very confused, and maybe that was part of the just normal process. But there's just so many unanswered questions. It's to me, it's a little odd that it's discounted, the burglary, botched burglary idea. Do you discount that at this point?
Well, I'll say this, Laura. I think they obviously have a lot more information. Obviously, they know what the crime scene looked like. They know whether or not personal items were taken. They know a lot more than they're telling. But what I think is doing a disservice to the men and women who are on the ground is it undermines the confidence in saying that our law enforcement partners are doing everything that they can possibly do. And I think to some extent the sheriff does a disservice by giving these mumble jumble or these confusing explanations, or holding back obvious information such as what was taken from the house. Now, I get, because I've been on the other side, why you don't want to reveal that. I just think it erodes the confidence.
Yeah. Callahan, do you agree?
I do. It's tough because law enforcement has to play that fine line. They want to have the public have confidence in them. They want to be able to keep the public up to speed, but they can't share everything with the public. And so that makes it a very difficult task for law enforcement. And hindsight is always 20/20. We can always say, hey, this should have been done differently. This should have never happened. And investigations are never a seamless operation. It's just real police work that needs to be done behind the scenes. You release too much information and you have conspiracy theorists going in a million different directions. You'll also get thousands and thousands of erroneous tips as well too, and that's a big part of this case now.
All right. Hey, Sean Hannity here.
All right. Let me see if I have any other videos. Do we have So here's the last video that I want to show you guys, right? So earlier today, it was mentioned that there is an attorney out in the Midwest who is kind of stepping in and volunteering to add an additional $100,000 as a reward to help bring information, forward for anybody who can find information on who kidnapped Nancy. So check this out, you guys.
Arrest and conviction in this case has now doubled. A donor from the Midwest offering his own money, a big chunk of it, to help solve this case that has gripped the nation.
Yeah, that's right. 12 News journalist Sean Rice spoke to him today. And Sean, this is a hefty check that is written to solve this case.
Yeah, absolutely. Milwaukee-based civil attorney Michael Hoopie tells me he's seen time and time again in his own community, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, how offering a substantial cash reward has helped solve some of the hardest to crack criminal cases. And now he's putting his own money, 100 grand of it, up in hopes it incentivizes someone who has key information to come forward and bring Nancy Guthrie home.
I've sent them a check today.
Oh, wow. So you fronted the money.
Oh, yeah. That's the only way we do it.
A check from Milwaukee, Wisconsin is en route to Tucson, Arizona. Attorney Michael Hoopie is the president of Crime Stoppers in his own community, a vital resource allowing people to remain anonymous, report what they know, and solve crimes.
I paid $75,000 in rewards to people who solved the murder of 2 young girls. And I was just kind of unnerved by how the situation is being handled in Tucson.
With over 15,000 tips reported to the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Department, it's kept both agencies busy, executing multiple federal search warrants, interviewing several people, but releasing them all. 17 days in, no named suspects or persons of interest.
This way, there is no giving a Bitcoin in advance and having someone cheat you out of money. It's paid for results. And that's what we can do. So I said, I'm going to step in. It's been too long.
Hoopie has sent his 6-figure check to Tucson Crime Stoppers, also known as 88 Crime in southern Arizona. He explained how reporting information and potentially collecting his reward would work.
People call in with tips. They either call in or go to the P3 tip line, anonymously leave a tip. They're given a code number.
Damn, David is guilty, really? A homicide, and they took her body, but for what? Right? Why?
If their tip pans out, they get to meet someone at an undisclosed location and receive a reward anonymously. And it gets people who don't want to be known to come forward.
But why offer a reward in a case nearly 2,000 miles away? He, like millions of others across the globe, feel just awful for the Guthrie family. Instead of sitting on the sidelines, he's stepping up, offering a message to Nancy's hurting loved ones.
Hang in there. We're trying something new here, and it might pan out. I hope it does.
So now there's 2 $100,000 rewards. The first we've told you about for several weeks now. That's the $100,000 FBI reward. It remains in place. You see the number here on the bottom right of your screen. Dial 1-800-CALL-FBI to report a tip to the FBI. Now, to report anonymously to gain Hoopie's reward with Tucson Crime Stoppers, you can call 520-882-7463, or you can visit 88crime.org online. Of course, this is an anonymous way. I'll send it back to you.
It's a very kind and generous gesture, and hopefully it leads to some arrest. All right. Thank you so much, Sean.
Let's see. I would never buy prescriptions in Mexico. Exactly. They have pill presses and fentanyl replaced. That's true, dude. Mexican meds have been getting laced by fentanyl by the cartels. It's scary, to be honest. You have to go to a certain pharmacy because they have millions of pharmacies everywhere. That's true. So true. I usually go there for meds, but the last time the meds made me feel weird. Ooh, lovely eyes. You probably got some good stuff, huh? Everyone has 100 grand now, right? A random person started a GoFundMe to pay the ransom. Yeah, we talked about that at the beginning of the show. I just get mine from the Walmart pharmacy, right? But you got to have insurance, right? Some people don't have insurance. I saw that he needs to be looked into. I did too, since I was in between insurance. I had no choice. Exactly, right? Imagine a paywall for solving murders. Damn, you get a subscription, you can solve it. More power to you. Oh, Ronan, you got your son's birthday tomorrow? All right, y'all. All right. Well, you guys, that is going to be it for me today. However, before you guys go, I'm gonna drop a link in the chat to Mark the Sharks live. He's live on the scene right now. He's in Tucson, Arizona. So do me a favor, click the link that I put in the chat. Go to Mark's channel and follow him. Let him know that Flojo sent you. Okay, you guys. That's gonna be it for me today, you guys. I appreciate all of you guys that stopped by and hung out. But let me make sure that I give a shout out to everybody that donated to the channel. Poetically Speaking for your gifted membership. Coco's Mom for your 10 gifted memberships. Hey, Poetically again for your 1 gifted membership. Thank you so much. And everybody that received the gifted membership, welcome to the inner circle. Yeah, that's gonna be it for me tonight. Make sure you guys click on the link. Let them know that Flojo sent you. That's Mark the Shark, and I will see you guys later. Peace.